Hello my besties, welcome back to the channel. I am here with Lily Beans. It has been a very long time since I have done a life update, and honestly I've just felt a little bit disconnected from the world. It's weird because I have been posting as I normally do on social media, but I feel like I haven't had like a real conversation and just giving you guys a little sneak peek into life and what's been going on, and because of that I feel a little distant. And so I'm just gonna tell you everything that's going on in life. It'll be like you're on FaceTime. There's not gonna be any fancy edits, there's no vlog, it's just me talking to you guys, and I hope that's okay. I think let's start with I literally don't know where to start because it's a lot. Why don't I start with the animals, because that's easy for me to talk about. Lucky and Lily are both sitting right under me, but Lily actually, so she is a kitten that we found at the park last year. My parents actually took her in and then we started taking care of her. She is now just about 6 months old, and so we did take her to get spayed. We took her to get surgery, and because Lucky was my first ever pet and I adopted him after he was already neutered from the shelter, this was the first time I took care of an animal like in its baby stages, and she has been such a troublemaker. And I am not somebody who prides myself in my patience. I am definitely somebody who, Lily, definitely just more the impatient type, but having Lily around has really showed me how much love I can feel for something causing so much trouble. We tried to time her spay for the perfect time, which the vet suggested for, you know, growing and developing until about 6 months or so, but kind of around ideally before her first heat cycle. And unfortunately, oh my god, Lily, not you drinking mommy's water. Unfortunately, she did end up going into Lily. She's literally such a troublemaker. Unfortunately, she did end up going through her first heat cycle. I won't even insert videos because it feels like a very private thing to share, but basically, as you can imagine, she is looking for a mate, so she is looking out the window, she's scratching at everything. She ended up spraying our couch 4 times on 2 separate cushions. I thought I would be so upset at that, but I knew it wasn't her fault. I knew she wasn't doing it on purpose, and she is potty trained, and so she must be uncomfortable / going through a lot of hormonal changes. My patience with Lily has taught me that perhaps one day when I have children, like perhaps I'm not that far off from that. Because I feel like one of the biggest things about children that scared me was that when I would hear baby cry or just kids acting like kids, sometimes I would literally feel like, I love that for you, but I just don't know if I could handle that for myself. So perhaps I am closer to that than I think. Good news is that Lily got her surgery. She was in a cone for about 10 days or so. Her incision healed up really nicely. You can basically barely see it, and she is lively as ever, which is great. Lily is my dog Lucky's biggest fan. Everything that her brother does, she wants to follow and see what he's doing. I was worried about having the cat-dog dynamic, but honestly, they get along so great. I don't think I could have asked for anything better. Lucky likes Lily, and they play together and they wrestle, but Lily definitely likes Lucky more. I think she looks up to him like a cool older brother, which is just so, it's just so heartwarming. Not me drinking the water that Lily just drank. Next, let's talk about team updates. So for the last 6 months, I've been really fortunate. I've had a team member who I hired on, and she was a close friend and also an employee of mine. And so she and I worked together for the last 6 months. She was very helpful in helping me navigate a time in my life that was very, very stressful. I genuinely felt like it just got to the point where I was so overwhelmed with everything in life that I wasn't able to produce or execute the amount of content that I wanted to. And she was the one helping me repost this content from TikTok onto Shorts, helping me brainstorm video ideas and helping me edit videos, etc. It was just so awesome having her around. She comes from a healthcare background, and so ultimately we realized that this line of work is just not really her passion and what she sees herself doing long term. And that's completely fine. I support her and love her, and I want her to do whatever makes her happiest. It definitely was sad and bittersweet, and we both ended up crying. She's moving on to her next chapter, and I didn't realize until she quit that I think the idea of having an employee and actually having one was very different, because for me as a creator, creative work is very difficult to structure the way that you structure like a normal 9-to-5 job. You cannot force yourself to be creative sometimes. There are some days where you will just kind of brain rot and not do anything related to that, and that's what it takes in order to come back energized and excited to film. I felt like because I had somebody by my side, I felt a ton of pressure to continue to film and have stuff so that I could give her work to do, because otherwise, if I wasn't working, then there's nothing for her to do either, and it makes her life difficult. After her position ended, for the first time in 6 months, but really more like 3-4 years, I was able to just take a couple of days off from filming. And I know that sounds very dramatic, but I'm pretty sure that was the first time in the last 4 years I've taken more than 2 days off from filming. And it felt really, really nice. And it wasn't even like I disappeared from social media. I was still posting on stories and here and there. I just felt so re-energized and recharged that rest goes a long way. But you have to rest in order to know that. It's so scary because I constantly feel like I'm behind in life. I'm an Enneagram 3, and so I feel like I need a purpose to live. I feel like I need to justify my reason for being on this earth. And I'm just constantly pushing boundaries for how can what I'm doing now be done better. And once I hit a goal, I'm immediately like, what's the next thing? What can we work on? I think part of that makes life very exhausting, because it's never enough. Learning to be okay with the present and what I'm dealing with now, I think has been a very tough lesson for my 20s, because it will never be enough until you make it enough. And for me, something that I regret is always prioritizing my career over anything and everything, over spending time with the animals, like going out for a run when the weather is good. I feel like there are so many things that I just didn't realize I was sacrificing. Recently, I have really been thinking about, because I'm constantly in competition, not with anybody else, but really with myself. I'm constantly competing with myself to be a better version of myself. And I feel like too much of that is also very toxic. I've really shifted my priorities to try to think about I don't want to compete for who is more accomplished or cool. I think there are a lot of things I look at for myself and I feel very inadequate. I haven't won XYZ award. I haven't hit this milestone. I am not financially where I want to be exactly. Maybe this year looks different than the last and I'm doing worse. Whatever that might be. I was using my accomplishments and achievements to measure my self-worth. And moving forward, I really am more focused on what are the things. How about we compete, not with other people, but just compete with yourself? Like, are you happy? Are you content? Are you where you need to be, right? I think it's hard because inevitably we'll look at other people who maybe are the same age as us or even younger than us, and they're doing all these crazy, crazy big things. And then you're like, well, what am I doing? We are always our own harshest critics. We say mean things to ourselves that we would never, ever say to anybody else. And next time you start to say mean things to yourself, I want you to stop and think, is this something I would say to my best friend? And if it's not, then maybe you also shouldn't say it to yourself. But I want to measure my life in happiness, in contentment. I have accepted that I will never be world number one at something. I will never be this incredible thing that people look up to. I don't know. I just want to be happy where I'm at. And I want to learn how to be happy in the present instead of pushing off my happiness for some arbitrary thing that may or may not happen for the future. So yeah, I think the animals help me with a lot of that. Kevin also helps me a lot with that because Kevin has such a good attitude for life and he genuinely is such a great role model for me to learn from. In a lot of ways, I think he is mentally very healthy and very strong. That was a very long-winded way of saying that I am definitely shifting my priorities. My entire life, I feel like the reason I have gotten to where I am today is because I have worked harder than anyone else. I can confidently say that I spend more time editing, I spend more time filming, I am producing more quantity of videos, right? Because that's where I felt like I could add value. A lot of that ended up being me posting things that I wasn't entirely proud of. And I think, not every video is going to be perfect, but it definitely doesn't make me feel good when the stuff I'm putting out doesn't feel like a good reflection of who I am. So moving forward, not that every video is going to be polished and highly produced, because it won't. In fact, it might even be less so. It might just feel more like me, but I want to feel like I like the way that this video is going out. I'm definitely taking a step back. You will not see 3,000 videos from me, and I'm sure nobody will even notice except me, because I was in such a rush with my career stuff. There are so many things that I have just put off learning or handling, or, you know, the house is always a mess because I don't make time for it the way that I make time for my career. And now let's talk about the career, right? Because that is certainly the biggest part of my life. Most of you know that I am a nurse and I'm also a content creator. I used to be a full-time nurse and a part-time creator, and the roles have kind of flipped, right? For quite some time now, I have been a full-time creator and a part-time nurse. I would be lying if I said that I never considered quitting nursing altogether, because girl, there are some days where nursing is so tough and I go home, I cry, and I think to myself, why am I doing this to myself? Thankfully, I will say those dark days are mostly over. I have not felt that way in a very, very, very long time. And you know, with anything, any job, things come in waves, good things come in waves, and so do bad things. And I was just going through a really bad wave at that point. I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, why is there less nursing content on the channel? Why aren't you doing as many nursing vlogs? And genuinely, it was because I was going through a phase where I didn't love my job. I didn't love nursing. And because of that, it was reflected in my content. Like, I didn't want to show that part of my life. I wasn't super proud of it. It was already very difficult doing the work. So then having to do the added layer of filming it, I think made it feel even more stressful than it needed to be. I felt very guilty because I know a lot of people only follow me because of the nursing content. And that also made me feel really insecure and sad, because I was like, I am a nurse, but a nurse is not all that I am. And so if all you enjoy is nursing content from me, then maybe this channel just isn't for you too, and that's totally okay. I understand that wholeheartedly. But it took me not doing as much nursing content to realize that maybe there are people who still support me for me. That realization was crazy to me. Like, I just didn't think that anybody would care. I think I'm in a very healthy place now. I actually have been working as a nurse a lot more. I've been enjoying it. And mentally, I'm in a better headspace about not being so hard on myself. And so it's created more balance in my life, and also more room for me to share the things that I am passionate about. If I'm honest, I don't know that necessarily the frequency will increase that much more than it's currently at, but just know that I am definitely still working as a nurse, and one day that may change, and if that changes, I will be the first to let you know that my life has changed. I'm very grateful for what nursing has brought me in my life, because at the point where I thought I wanted to be a full-time influencer, if I think about it really carefully, I don't think that that is a healthy decision for me personally. What I love so much about nursing is that for a day at a time, for 12 hours at a time, I'm showing up to work and I get to be someone's biggest support system for a day. I get to talk with them, I get to chat with them, I get to support them through something that's very, very scary, but hopefully make it less scary. And the conversations that I have, and just being surrounded by other humans, I feel like is such a wonderful thing. Creator work is very isolating. It's very egocentric. I'm constantly looking at videos, photos of myself. I'm tearing myself to shreds, and nursing is a complete opposite. It's not about me, it's about them. I also think numbers and things can very easily get to your head and skew your perspective on the world and life, and something about just working a normal human job with a normal hourly rate and a paycheck that, you know, comes into your bank. I think it is very healthy to have that as well. There's not a single day that I don't wake up grateful and a little confused, like why the universe chose me to let me make content. If I'm honest, there's nothing that makes me happier than editing a video that I'm proud of and seeing people enjoy that video. That feeling is cloud nine. There's nothing in this world that compares to that feeling for me. In school, like, I was the girl who edited all the photos and all the videos, and so being able to do that for a living and being able to get paid to make content is surreal. I think what's safe to say is that I don't know what my life is going to look like even next month or next year or the next 5 years. I definitely am somebody who is a planner and I like to try to know, but life always surprises me and always ends up being a little different than I think. What I can say is that I will definitely keep you updated on where my headspace is at and where I end up. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for loving me and caring for me through my ups and downs. I know that I'm not a perfect human by any means. I make mistakes all the time, and I'm an introvert, I'm a homebody, and so to have so many friends on the internet is something that is so special to me and never something that I take for granted. I felt very deeply in my heart that I had to put this video out so that I could talk to you guys. I also want you to know that I am literally always rooting for you guys. I'm constantly reading my comments, my DMs, and I just love you guys so deeply. If you are also in your 20s, or maybe you're in your teens, or maybe in your 30s, just in general, life is not easy. And even the people who look like they have it figured out don't have it figured out. And so I think we're all in the same boat. Don't forget you're a 10 out of 10. Don't let anyone ever make you feel otherwise. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!